Hey everybody, my name is Raw Skye. This is Kiko. We are both raw vegans, high raw vegans. This is the Ups and Downs podcast. And today we want to talk about your environment and how it can make or break your diet. Hey Kiko.
Hi, Sky. Hi, everyone. Happy to be back. And look at the color difference. Oh my God. Australia, Sydney, where Sky is, sh- uh, you're having summer, and I'm going through winter.
Yes.
Black and pink, like a bikini.
We're like yin yang. And I do want to talk about the elephant in the room, or if anyone doesn't know, there was a terrorist attack in Australia
Oh,
yesterday. It is really, yeah, very close to me. Like
oh,
technically two beaches around. A local tackled the guys. It's been in Bondi. Was it Bondi? So we
wow. I'm
are
so
sad.
sorry.
Yeah, it is really, 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 really sad. So I actually found out on a live last night. I was live and someone said, you're safe? And are you okay? And I'm like,
Oh,
what's going on? So yeah,
oh,
there was a
wow.
couple of shooters that just started shooting at Bondi Beach.
Oh my God, it's rare in Australia. I've never heard the terrorist attack.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Right.
we've had like a shooting up in Bondi Junction, but I don't think it was a terrorist attack. So, but what actually happened was one of the shooters was tackled by someone who lives in my area. And so that was very brave, but still, yeah, we're sending lots of love out there. So, and I'm safe and just, yeah, I had lots of questions about that, but I also just wanted to recognize that it was actually like a Jewish Hanukkah, I think, the start of it. And then
Okay.
I think that's
Mm.
what it was. And there was a whole group, and that's what was targeted, sadly. So we are
Well,
sending,
yeah, sending love to your area, people who were affected. And yeah, this is also part of the environment that we're going to talk about because I lived in Paris, and just before COVID, I was in an area where there's a lot of madness going on, and it really scared me. And I don't get scared easily.
yeah,
I've gone through 9/11 in New York and March 11 where tsunami and the huge earthquake happened. I was in Tokyo, which we were affected as well. So yeah, I'm sending a lot of love to your way as well, Sky.
thank you. Thank you so much. So yeah, it is. I don't scare easily. And last night I double checked my doors are locked, and I'm like, next weekend we're supposed
Okay.
to do the raw food meetup at this beach, which is like technically two. They're like just the way the beaches are set up. Yes, Cronulla, where I am, is divided into different beaches, but if you were to call it, it's actually just like different bays. So you've got my bay, another bay, and then Bondi type how it's set up.
Mm.
So it makes you question a lot of things. But I was saying on the live last night about this is why like I look after myself for me, but I'm a better person for other people. Like I've been in psychiatric units, and this is all stems off the back of your mental health, right? And how it can
Mm.
affect other people. And the best version of me, everybody gets the best version because a lot of people do argue, I can't do raw food because I'm rushing my kids around. I can't do it for many reasons, but what you
Mhm.
bring to those around you and the planet at this time is like what I can do now is exponential compared to what I used to do, and I've never not seen that. So it's another reason to do it is to look after your mental health.
So true. Hey, I just want to make double check if my sound is still okay because my headphone is a bit strange. It's okay.
Oh,
All right.
yes, yeah, it's really good.
Good. Perfect. Yes, in a way, we say when anything bad happens in Japan, what or yeah, like after funeral, for example, when someone comes back from funeral to home, traditionally we like to put salt over them. So, we believe that there's like a bad evil or bad spirit you might have taken from event like funeral. People are sad and there might be some negative energy around. So to purify, we use salt a lot to purify. So in a way, I think it's because near the sea, it would purify. And this is just like a I don't know, like a spiritual mindset from Japan.
So I think there's so much value to this. And I'm actually going to jump across to my story because I actually just put something
Mhm.
on about the electromagnetic field of a human. So you can call it spirit, but spirit affects what we don't see, right? And so when I healed myself, I was inundated in salt. I could not get enough salt, whether like a salt water, Himalayan salt scattered across my bath. At night when I was coming off all my addictions, I would just rub a Himalayan salt lamp. When I reconnected with my family, I would have a bath with Epsom salts, Himalayan salts, sea salt. And it was, and everyone who's heard my story knows I was almost animalistic principles applied when I healed myself. There was no ability to read or write or concentrate. It was how I felt, very animal. Like the raw food, I can do things. That's enough. There was no distraction. I need
Yeah.
salt. I just get salt. But
Mm.
this actually came up. I'm just going to move across to my story just because you mentioned that this is actually a filming of the electromagnetic field and how our field grows and starts to change in light composition when we're around animals and the ocean and forests. And I'm talking about it, but and it's about how these things are actually like they make us feel whole again. It's very different to other addictions, right? These aren't addictions. These are actually completing like levels of us as opposed to like, drugs or alcohol or gaming or whatever you want to get a quick stimulation from. Which probably don't show it in this, but I don't know whether it would affect the field. And I think we should think more in fields, right? Like our own fields.
Mhm. Your sound is fine, but I maybe it might be on my side. You were freezing on the foot video.
Oh, am I?
I
Is it
I don't see you moving. Is it on my side? It's kind of strange.
maybe come
You
everybody else, can you tell me if I'm
yeah.
unmute here? It's very hard to show us. Oh, no, you can pause it there. Okay, so I didn't know how you come across these stories here. Okay, let me bring this up here. What are people saying? Oh, can you guys hear me? I'm just going to add this on because
I can hear you. Yeah.
it's just cycling through my story here, and it'll come up to what I want you guys to. I don't know if I can fast forward. I'm trying, guys, because I've got a lot going on up here. This is my day yesterday. um,
Looks good.
I don't want the music there. Yeah. Anyway, why
Oh,
that cycle?
gorgeous.
Oh, it's beautiful. It was such a sad way to end the day to hear.
Mm.
And apparently, I wrote last year that I'm going to write all the things I want to let go of this year. I found it in my diary this week to do and smash a plate. I don't know where this came from, but apparently I planned it last year that this year I'm going to write all the things to let go of. Heidi's like, why don't you just put on a bit of paper and set fire to it? I'm like, that doesn't
Ah,
really make any sense than smashing dishes.
ah.
But when this is about carbonated water.
Satisfying. When you drink carbonated water and it goes down to your esophagus, into your stomach, it stimulates certain nerve endings called mechanical receptors, which
Mm.
indirectly affect something called the vagus nerve, which has a very calming effect on your nervous system. It can even lower your heart rate, improve your digestion, and reduce stomach pressure. I actually crave carbonated water. I just feel more hydrated, but actually it doesn't necessarily hydrate you more. Instead, it calms down your nervous system and just gives you a sense of satisfaction. So it actually reduces stress and it just makes you feel better. If you wanted to lower
Interesting.
your stress, you might want to just switch to carbonated beverages. I'm not talking about the ones with sugar or other chemicals.
Ah,
So I
interesting.
used to have it a lot and I've put it back in and I've noticed how I've stopped constantly juicing and eating. Like it's really calmed
Wow.
the system. Yeah. I used to use it to stop drinking.
Oh, I love
Uh,
this. I'm going to try.
yeah.
So cute.
Sorry, guys. I am going to take this off. The next one I'm pretty sure is the crystal one that I want you guys to see. It's very hard to show. Or maybe it's not. Anyone got any suggestions for YouTube videos I'm filming this week? So, and then I did another.
And also, I would still like, because your
Oh, no.
video is frozen, so
Oh, can you see the video that I'm sharing? Here, this.
I
Has
can
a
do it. Yeah.
sizable radiant field, even when he sits quietly. Notice now, as he greets his master, the obvious love and affection between them increases the dynamic radiation from their bodies, even the dog's tail and the man's head. No wonder so many people have pets who give them pleasure and provide a vital field of energy to interact with. Wherever there is motion in the universe, there is increased flow in the field that humans interact with. See the explosive activity from the waves and from his body. Also, the electromagnetic field of the body is negatively charged or ionized, as are waves or tumbling water, which further expands and heightens his field, giving a physical exuberance and emotional excitement. No wonder that a day at the beach is so exhilarating and vitalizing. We all love a babbling brook and the freshness of outdoor vegetation and mountains.
Okay, that stopped there, but that does go on to, and I will take this down now. Hey, I'm frozen. Sorry, guys. Got a lot of noise going on there. Am I unfrozen now?
It was fuzzy, but now it's fine.
Okay, maybe it was just an overload. Sorry, guys. But yeah, the point of that, and you couldn't even see it that well, was if you go to my story and you click on that reel, you can see different environments change the field. So we are actually it's not just I feel better and it's just a few neurotransmitters in the brain or the receptors in your skin are better. Like your field, we actually we should do a live on that, right? Is we should be looking after our field. And that is
That's
going to
so
reflect
interesting.
on the environment. Yeah, because it's not deniable. We have electromagnetic fields, everything, including like Wi-Fi, right? Televisions, that's how it all runs, waves. So we want to look after our field.
Oh, that was nice. It was a short clip, but it gave us a good sense of, how we affect each other and how we get affected in the environment. That makes sense. Yeah.
It was like
Yeah.
rivers, brooks, oceans, animals, children, all the things that make you go, ooh, like they give you the feel. And it actually builds our field. So our field can start shriveling and you hug and play with an animal and you'll start to rebuild your field. And it'd be interesting to have some Carillion photography done after someone had a day of like beach and mountains and laughs and children and dogs. And by the end of the day, like yesterday, my day was all beach and water and raw foods effect. You get the Carillion photography and someone glows. So it's another way to look after the field.
I'm not. Yeah, I think for me, yesterday I spent many hours in my kitchen because it was raining in the morning here, and I said, "Oh, this is a perfect day to prep for the week." So I made crackers, made salad, and was doing a lot of things in the kitchen. And then you know we went for a walk a bit later than usual, and I felt this accumulation of frustration. When I don't step out, I get so frustrated. My husband see it right away, and it's like, it's time for Kiko to go for a walk. Like, let's take her out and you know get get this beautiful. I live in a mountain, and we just go into the mountain. We walk in the forest, and I've also noticed like my skin gets itchy um when I don't know if it's frustrated. It's also we have a heat going on in our house because it's hot, it's cold, and as soon as I'm in the forest, I feel so good. I don't feel any itchiness. It's just crazy. And in my mind, I'm thinking like, oh, I have so much that I have to get done. And when I'm at home, there's a ceiling and it's in a closed setting. Even though we live in a mountain and the air is really good, it's just so different, stepping outside and yeah, seeing the mountain and forest and river, and the air is so fresh and humid. I love humidity, and I just feel great right away.
Well, essentially, we're all circuits, right? And we're supposed to have the soles of our feet grounded and on that direct current of the earth. When you're indoors, you are only taking in and receptive to an alternate current. If you scan someone with a heat sensor, you will see that their body starts to heat up, cause inflammation. The same if you get on my mobile phone's here filming. If you get a mobile phone and put it next to your face, right, and have a 15-minute conversation, if you do a heat scan on somebody, this whole area is hot, okay? So it's inflamed. Get the person to go outside and have their soles of their feet on the ground, and their whole nervous system starts to regulate. It takes like 10 minutes. But the other thing about when you're outdoors and grounded, you're also not around alternate currents. Do you know what I mean? So it'd be different if you were still around all alternate currents outside, kind of be fighting against it. But you've got no input of how you're directly supposed to be, like your flow, really. And so it's really, it is like a really important aspect. And you think as we age, we can't regulate as well. So a child that's indoors, you can see a child that's been indoors a lot watching television all day. You watch their hair. It's all dry. It sticks to the back of their head. They're kind of moody. Versus a kid that's been running around outdoors all day, you'll start to notice their skin starts to change color. It starts to activate like the melanin skin. It starts to get vitamin D. They're quite calm. Their hair might go fairer. You know, they're alkaline. You're alkaline. It's just a visual effect of actually the person's feelings. And I always say when somebody says, you know, looks don't dictate, you know, how someone's personality, I believe they do. Is when you are really, I know when I look good, it's only because I've been grounded, and you'll get the effects of that. I'll be like really high vibe, lock me up inside all day, and I get really wound up, like you can call it ADHD effects. I get muscle activation type things flare up, like you're talking about, like the rashes and stuff. And it's just because it's inflammatory. So the body releases histamines. If you are get a histamine overload, if you tend to that, your weakness might be something else. So it's so important.
Yeah, in Japan, I'm hearing the echo. Is it just me?
An echo of who?
Me? Oh, and I think it's okay.
Oh, it was me. My sound wasn't plugged in properly. Is that better?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Oh, let me fix this up. Let me just fix this up.
Sure.
Audio, I've got the wrong microphone running. This should be better. Is this better?
I think, yeah, I think so. I think it
Hello?
was just a little bit, and then yeah, I think it's okay. You guys let us know as well if you guys hear echo from other of us. So yeah, I was gonna say that Japanese people are like, we are very close to nature. Like, so what our religion, Shintoism, the god is God, our gods. We have many gods in Shintoism, and that's nature. So if you go to the Shintoism temple, you don't see anything but they say that the mountain is their god. There's no, person or statue, so it's the nature is our gods. And even though we are not religious people, it's more like, day to day, it's just engraved in us. So, um, day to day, like you hear in words, like when we speak, we have a lot of nature words, and this forest therapy, it's becoming more popular in outside of Japan, but forest therapy has been part of our culture. Like, over the weekend, let's get our negative ion. So we like going to the mountain where there's more moist, or like waterfalls or river. And, that was part of, our way to get refreshed.
Yeah. It's like when I started eating a raw food diet, I was very aware that all of a sudden, it's like when I say I felt God, is I only felt God with the raw foods or when I went outside. that source or nature. I say God, and I think people assume temple, but God is me, and through me and through you and through a computer. He's everything. He, she, the universe, right? But I am in God's kingdom when I'm outside. Like inside, it's really like shutting away. And I want to give a really good example about environment, okay? Because we'll get to like this addiction side where you get triggered as well. Because a good example of this is, so when I went to Lady Gaga concert on Friday, which I
Oh yeah, I got so
absolutely loved.
excited.
It was so fun. I loved it. Was really, it healed something in me. And I'm going to do the
Oh,
podcast this week with
interesting.
Marabella. Yeah, because it made me realize, because I always talk about how I barely cry. I just don't cry. And when I healed myself, I did a lot of dance or played a lot of songs, and I could feel emotion through songs which were familiar. And a lot of it was Lady Gaga. And so all these songs are playing, and all these emotions I can bring forth. And I think it's because it's a safe space. It's childlike, right? It's songs that are fun, but have
Mm.
like a kind of like trauma side to it, are still safe for me. Crying is too much. Like I probably wouldn't stop, right? So it did a lot of healing. And I had so much fun dressing up. I dressed up in these boots and these fishnet stockings and this black outfit, lots of makeup, with my sister, and I get in the car, they're all eating fast food. Then we go to a restaurant, and then we're ordering food again, and there's alcohol, and then we're at the event, and everyone at the event is having alcohol and all different foods, and I'm like ungrounded. I've got like boots on, right? Doesn't mean I don't love it, right? Absolutely loved it. Wasn't really hungry. I had a salad at the restaurant. I was fine. But then when I got home, and this can happen to me a lot, but this was an extreme example, and because I've been going, overexcitement stops my hunger. You're so excited and so in the moment. And I got home, and I think it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and I probably hadn't eaten anything but a very small salad in maybe 12 hours. And to cope, I grabbed my blender, and I actually invented the most amazing recipe. I always do when I'm like really hungry. And I like threw in, like, it was I did a sushi tuna, but what was in the mix was every flavor you can imagine. So there's chili, garlic, ginger, carrot. I'm like, I'm not good with apple cider vinegar. Don't care. Throw it in. I'm like, put a bit of namasoy, a bit of miso. I put everything in there, right? And that obviously was a lot more stimulating than what I usually have. I can quite easily have cabbage and flax oil, or flaxseed. Like I'm very simple, but it's what I need after something like that. And the first time I worked this out was, I knew it, but I guess I was with Jillian, and we were in the airport, and our flight got cancelled and cancelled and cancelled. And she'd been doing fruit and a bit of green juice for months. And she said, oh my God, I'm getting hungry, all this stimulation. And it made me realize, and what this topic about how a lot of our choices on what we eat are dictated completely by our environment. And a lot of people, once again, will say, I'm a mum. What do I do? I swear you can't do it without nature. Like, you're going to have to stop what you're doing and actually just run outside because I did that. I don't have kids though, right? Nature is when I'm regulated. I always, when I coach people, I'm like, start eating your meals outdoors with no shoes on. Get your bum on the ground, your feet on the ground, your hands in your food. The more you are around what I call those sacred geometries or God shapes, is you just don't crave that addiction. But when you dive in, and everyone can choose how far they dive back in, you are going to be tempted.
So true. I get so affected by environment, and it's so important to set my environment right. Not just the area that I live in. I live in a beautiful place where there's mountain, and even though I'm close to the city center, Kyoto is just a miracle city, and also people. It's very important that who I surround with, and I take a distance for people who might not be on the same page, who might not understand my path. And I'm really grateful for this online community for that, because again, I've said it many times that being raw vegan this year was so easy. Other years I have been on this raw vegan journey for over 21 years, right? I have been on a high raw vegan, but it was a struggle struggle, meaning I would eat out, and you know, often I overate that wasn't suitable for me. So like maybe too much nuts or too much like some cooked food. And then I would think, oh, it's okay, I'll do fast. And then there was like over and over, let's do juice fast. I'll eat out and juice fast. Eat out, juice fast. And it was just so tiring. And and again, this year, because of the online community, starting from you, Sky, that's why I'm so thankful. It's so much fun. Our online community is so much fun, right? Tomorrow we have Europe Raw Party, women's podcast, book club, and then US Raw Party, and weekly podcast. It's so much fun. It's so thank you.
I'm so glad. Actually, off the back of that, I have had many messages and people telling me that, and one lady, for example, is like, I'm not raw yet or even vegan. I think she has a bit of cheese in her salad still.
Mhm.
And she said, but the only reason I've got this far, she's got 4 kids, she's single, is because she puts on my podcasts and videos and talks in the background when she eats. And she goes, I don't feel alone. She goes, I feel like somebody's, and technically, I do my lives, and that's all started off the basis that I am always alone. That, and it's not a bad thing. It's helped me a lot to heal. But then you get to a point, you're like, who do you connect with? And I'm like, well, I feel like I'm besties with people online, so I'll just go online and do that. So it's like there for everyone, and that's what I want for people, is to not feel alone, like that other aspect where there's just copious amounts of ways to connect to people. And JJ and I did a podcast last week just about how you can do communities, you can do retreats, you can get books, you can, like, the more you do, but it's all about, like, I really think it's worth spending time investing in your environment.
It's so
I
true.
mean,
And
like, your very personal space is the first. Like, I don't think you can cope by crutching on like online communities and things like that. But once you build your environment, you're better than bringing them into your environment. But because that's the solid around you, right? That's like what the tangible stuff around you. Like, there's no use sitting around, like all addictive tendencies and trying to watch a podcast on Raw. I mean, have them in the background while you're creating this space for you. And even if it's you're a mum, right? Because I always think it's a lot easier for someone who has a partner who's raw or is by themselves, is you're going to have to make a cupboard, a little bench top, hang on a second. I'm just going to, maybe if you can just put that person out that's making the comments, Kiko, because they're coming from your page.
Can I do that? Okay.
Yes, you have to. So they're the bottom ones of yours. If you just right click, I can't block anybody. So just the devil, if you can just right click on the little comment, the little 3 little dots.
There's no right click. Sorry.
Yes, there is. So if you bring your little arrow up to the right side, 3 little dots should come up.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm not.
So are you in the comment section, not the actual comment section on the screen, but in the right-hand side where there's comments, like actually like that are coming up?
I need to get because I'm not seeing that. I'm gonna have.
Because I know Marabella did it.
Yeah, I do remember. Keep talking. I'm gonna get my husband.
Okay.
Try to figure out. Yeah.
So I think what is really important, one of the first steps when you want to go raw and you want to create your environment, is to set up a space which works for you. And so I was very mindful, especially when I first started, of not bringing things in that are going to trigger me, right? If you walk past things that are going to trigger you, you can't do that. And I'm going across now as well to mums or family. You've got a family, is you're going to have to set up your own bench space, one cupboard which is only yours, and you're going to have to try and go into that whenever you can. So Thank you. Thanks, guys. You're on mute. You're on mute.
My magic wand came to
Thank
erase the
you.
bad energy. Go away.
Oh,
We don't
thank
need that energy.
you. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, I think it's going to look different for each person, but also what can help is follow people online who have similar lives to you. You know, like someone like me, I live alone. Kiko, you're in a couple, like you're married. And then someone like Jillian, she has a whole family. And so you can learn different skills and different way things are set up. I think one of the most interesting things I remember when I first became friends with Jillian, or even when I watched her online, she said, because I think dinner time is really hard, because I think in the mornings people do different breakfasts. You go off to work, kids go off to school. So you do whatever you do at lunchtime, but you come home. And usually this is where you're worn down, you're tired, you may not eat enough. And Jillian always says she makes her meal first before her family's
I
and
do the
puts it to
same.
puts it interesting. Yeah.
I used to do reverse. I used to make my husband first, and then now I've realized, and they're so, over 21 years, I've had so many different stories, and the bread was one of the biggest addiction for me. And there was a time that I had to ask my husband not to eat bread. And he's French, he loves bread, and he doesn't have that much negative effect when he eats it. But I explained to him that, I'm sorry, but I'm still going through this eating disorder, and I'm still addicted to bread and certain food. Can you not eat it? When you go out with your friends, you do whatever you want. But I'm triggered when you eat bread. And he was, yeah, I mean, it took me a while for me to get to have that conversation. Now, I mean, the other day I made a sandwich for him with the regular, vegan bread.
Yeah.
And like I it doesn't trigger me at all. Like, I don't see it as a food for me to eat, but it
Yeah.
it might help if you can talk to your family member.
So I did a talk last night on addictions, because I've been talking a lot about, I've just kind of been getting through for I started doing the lives and more YouTube, and then I went to America. Then I came back and been struggling with my hormones a bit. But in the background of all that, I don't think I've made it quite clear how much this year I've struggled with addiction. Being that I've been unwell, like in the background, things have come up for me. Like when my hormones come up, having a broken foot, and you put me back in bed and you give me my hormone replacements back in, and a lot of my memories come back. And with that, and I was kind of asking this question last night about like, how exhausted are you supposed to get? Because when addiction tendencies come up, is because some of the people in the comments were like, it's willpower, it's discipline. I'm like, I totally agree. But to what you get, it's called something like, someone in the comments named it, but it's like mental exhaustion. Basically, your own thoughts wear you down. Every time you get up, it's like, you should just order a bottle of wine, or everyone is out Sunday afternoon having a drink. It wasn't necessarily that I've wanted to go all out, but it's have my social life aspect back. That part of me, I feel, has come up quite strong. And the avoidance at the start worked, but I want to face this. And when does that exhaustion stop? And then this is why I like doing that, is by the end of it, I reassured myself as to why I do what I do. And the lifestyle I set up is so ingrained that I actually love it. And that I think myself is I keep looking for it now. That's why I'm not a big fan of therapy, because if you start sitting in an office for years, I'm not talking about when you have one traumatic event and you want to work through that trauma, but if you, and I was in therapy for years, you solidify your problem. Like, because you're going in there, you're paying, you go, you leave. And how I've actually rebuilt neural networks in my brain. It's just that for some reason, putting the hormones back in, or the hormones going wrong, has sent me down a path where, which became exhausting. So we got into that conversation, but it really is about setting up the best way you can your environment, so that that's what you default back to. And I guess I was talking about that because I want people to know that it does get better. I haven't really had addictions come up that bad for me. How long were you in when your bread addiction flared up? Was like, this is quite strong and
Well, when I was living in Paris, so like 6, 7, 8, 9 years, 9 years ago, I moved to Paris and I stayed there for 4 years. And I didn't have that much um, effect. Like I could eat time to time some bread, and it wasn't affecting me. And
right.
that was that accumulation, now I have to be very careful not to touch any gluten, because otherwise, one bite would make me suffer for at least 1 month. So,
Sure. So it was like you were still having bread 10 years ago and it was when you were getting rid of it. Is that when it?
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I really didn't like I think also having memory gaps as well was big, but my environment is set up conducive to supporting me. Like, does that make sense? Like, I have my bench area is quite clear. I don't have an oven. I only have a blender and juicer. And it's not that I'm a bad person or I don't have willpower. It's just the world. Like when you walk outside, everybody is doing things that you can't do. So you
Mm.
really want that home space and also the choice of people we're around. Like that video I showed earlier showed the effects that the your field has on what you're
Yeah.
around.
I think, yeah, same thing for me. The kitchen is, I have done renovation in my kitchen. Like when I moved to this house 3.5 years ago, there's no oven, there's no ventilation because I don't cook, right? It's just dehydrator, smoothies, and a place to warm up the tea. And
Yeah.
yeah, and thank God my husband, I do all the cooking, and I'm cooking as well. So my husband is very easygoing. So and there's no one cooking in my kitchen, which helps a lot, right? I do everything myself. And also the people around, like a lot of people I think used to think that I'm too cold, or I don't know, too harsh on people, because I don't I just stopped going out with some people, who just keep on complaining and don't want to take action. That really affects me.
Yeah.
They might have been my friend, but I have to have my own space in order for me to thrive in this life. So I just
Mhm.
stopped going to some parties.
That's a huge trigger for me. So I don't care. Of course I care, but people can do what they choose to do, but don't choose to do your lifestyle. And then when it's time to socialize, complain about all your problems and all the things wrong in your life and never do anything about it. Like if you're going to even whatever, however you eat or whatever you do, when I see you, you must be high vibe to be in my life. Like that's a
Hmm.
given. And that is just like, I'm not saying people don't have bad days, but you're
Yeah.
right. Is a lot of people when you're around who are eating this denser food sit in a denser space and their whole
Hmm.
social situation. I didn't realize it until I first got well and I hadn't been out in years. I want to go to restaurants. I want to connect with family friends, my parents' family friends, like my friend, everyone. Like, and what I didn't realize is people will eat dense foods and the entire conversation will revolve around doctors, medicines, checkups, problems, fights with partners. It just went on. And I was like, and especially being disconnected for so long, it was so real. And especially because I think I thought I'd found the Midas touch, the golden ticket, right? I'm like, can nobody see? Like, it didn't
Yeah.
just go in and fix like 50 problems, like because it specifically fixed them. It heals a person. I'm like, woohoo!
Hmm.
I just told the whole story. Yeah, that really blew my mind. But not everybody is like that, and I've learned that you don't have to be raw
Hmm.
to be in my life, but you cannot show up and always sit in negative
This,
space. And
yeah,
raw
this,
people can do that too. Like I won't be
yeah,
around other people who are raw and everything's negative.
yeah. This victimhood mindset is something I'm very sensitive with, and I'm okay if someone think that, I'm dry, or some people might comment, like they don't say it to me because they just kind of disappear, because our energy is so when we are so different, like, right, this energy, and it's not just about food. Again, some raw vegan can be so in victimhood mindset, and they
Yeah.
can't raise. And yeah, some people come and some people go. And it's not about being egoistic. It's about being,
Mhm.
how do we want to show up in our life, right? For me, being energetic and vibrant, and I have some bad days, but if I complain, I make sure that I take action from what I learned, right? Like, things happen for a reason, to me,
Mm,
that I want to make sure that next time, okay, what can I do to prevent that? And then
yes.
there's no bad days if you look at it that way. There's always something to prevent and take action.
So it's like building the mindset too, because you come home. I'm like that is I'm not saying to people is when something traumatic, like last night, what happened, and thank you for the prayers in Bondi, really affected me. Like I was struggling on the live to talk even when I went off, just because of the pain of that could happen to people, and it's very close and very sad. It's not about not feeling the emotion, but I don't want to be complaining about this in a sense of how maybe Sydney is or that these people are or whatever 5 years from now. I don't want a whole night out to 5 years from now. I like to feel the emotions and totally process them. But what can I learn from that? And I've already,
Mm.
like the way I speak about this is mental health, right? I've already spoken. I'm not saying horrible things because to me, it's just anytime, this is what I've learned about myself being a raw vegan. Anytime I've been triggered and
Mhm.
I project about a person specifically and my ego decides to say something negative, within a couple of weeks, watch me have to actually deal with that problem about myself in some way. It's never let me down. So I might be reactive, right? And it's about learning and watching when you become reactive, because I promise you, it's not about the other person, it's about yourself. It's
It's
something
so
unhealed.
true.
And I
So
never
true.
knew this my whole life, because when I was in victimhood, all these things, bad things kept happening to me. And I'm just thinking I'm unlucky. But then when I changed my mindset and my diet and my lifestyle, all good things started to happen to me. It's the same life. It's just that I changed the food, which made me feel good. I only be around people that make me feel good. I only do things that make me feel good. And therefore, the outcome or the output is I feel good. Whereas before,
Yeah.
I was letting the world really punch me down and then projecting. And that's something like that is very strong in me, is that even if I
Mm.
become reactive, life will whoop my ass in a couple of weeks. Trust me, it will.
This is so true to me as
Yep.
well. And it's so true. Like, when you point at someone, three fingers are pointing back at you, right? Pointing
They
someone,
are.
three. And I heard this over and over. I was like, really? I mean, if they're doing something wrong, I should, I should mention this. And sure enough, it all comes back to me, and I've learned a hard lesson on this for sure. And just let them be. World works in a strange way. There, and it's a beauty that we have so many different people, and I just make sure that I do what I can do on a daily basis, and I'm not gonna change the world. I can change my world.
That's so important for people to know. So do not ever think that even any people who have high, what we perceive in this world as power, that can even talk to change the world. I think of someone like the Queen of England, is her continual actions are what impact people more than her speeches. And I think her speeches reflect her lifestyle when she was alive, right? Is like that is the biggest imprint. Like, how are you every day? Because that's what's imprinting. You can't change like 8 billion people, but if I feel like I make change by working on myself. And
Yeah, so true.
that wasn't the focus. The focus first off is changing me, getting me to
Yeah.
feel good. And then when the cup overflows, is you watch people around you start changing. But I mean, even when I think about how I used to be, is I've never yelled at somebody so much that they've changed their life in a way that's sustainable. And that's why I always talk about veganism. Is it can seem, if someone's driven there by force and hate, is they'll be part of themselves, because you have to remember what the brain does is hate and suffering is pain. If you're in pain, the brain equates that to death, right? Is think about how we evolved, is if you suffer in any way, is you are usually running from a lion, a tiger, something life-threatening. We're not so far away from that. The brain has completely changed. So when you feel depressed, mundane, something's horrible all the time, it can't sit there. And that's where addictions start coming, to try and
Mm,
recalibrate, right, and balance. But you're
yeah.
better off to sit in a space where you love you, get you loving you first. Like, that's the priority. And for me, environment is huge for that. It's like my little
Mm.
teacup hug. Like, it's like around me, my bubble. And when things don't feel safe out there, and there's too many advertising, and there's too many people walking past me with coffees, and there's too many people talking about their parent fun night out drinking, is I get to come back to my bubble, create a new recipe, do a podcast or a live, listen to my music. What else do I like to do? Go for a beach walk. Like, that's my environment, which is like that little hug, which kind of like lifts me around. I think if I'm Skye and I'm
Mm.
sitting on a cloud and my environment is my little cloud, I get to like zoom around
Mm.
on.
Mm. Yeah, and yeah, it's also about learning about yourself, right? Because some people are okay
Yeah.
in certain conditions, like um, and but especially for me, like I struggled a lot with eating disorder. And the eating disorder, this was not diagnosed by a doctor, but looking back, it was clearly the eating disorder. And being with my husband, it made it very clear, because my husband is someone like who doesn't put too much weight on what he eats, and it doesn't affect him that way. So he never overeats. Like, even if he is sitting in front of his most favorite meal, and if he's full, he's full. He's just stop.
Mm,
And when he realized that certain food affects him, he just stops. And he had this bacteria. He had some
yeah.
bad infection this year, and it really traumatized him. And so natto, natto, right? This
Yeah.
fermented bean, which is really, it smells really strong. And we went to the pharmacy and we took a look at the probiotic, and the main ingredients in all the probiotics here in Japan is natto kinase, which is the bacteria from natto. And that just convinced him. And he started eating, like, all of the sudden, he loves natto. It's just, so he's very logical person in his mind, that if it doesn't affect him, he would just eat, but he never eats. But for me, even though I know bread was not good, I just battled for so many years. So understanding yourself, and setting your environment correctly, depending on who you are, it's such a key to happier and healthier life.
Yeah, and I think that's only an extra step as well, right? Is you noticing what is in the like in the food. I really, when it comes to the way my life is now, credit me doing that year back in 2018 on paleo, or basically no processed food, because you get in a mindset of just turning up to the shopping center. If you go to buy something, you always turn it over, right? So you become very hypersensitive and aware as to what is in foods. But it really made me see that, like, the meat didn't belong on my plate. That was like an evolution, right? But it's back to just turning over you then become, if you do buy something in a packet, very conscious to turn it over and have a look what's in it,
Mhm.
because it's much better to have it and not so harsh on the gut, to just have the food, do what we were supposed to do.
Mm, yeah.
So
And yeah, and also again going back to the people, like the regular people who eat what's available in the restaurant, or here in Japan, the conveni, which is the 7-Eleven. I don't know if you get. Do you have 7-Eleven in Sydney?
Yes.
Okay, but
Yeah, we
is it
do.
like is it how do they have like a healthy looking food?
Yes and no. I wouldn't consider it healthy, but it's not from what I don't know what Japanese is like, but I see a lot of people love going to, is it maybe it's Korea or maybe it's China? I don't know whether it's Japan. That I think it is Japan.
It is
I don't know.
Japan, I think.
Yeah, and they have like it's a full novelty of TikTokers and YouTubers to go over there and their
Mm.
meal, and they sit there and they get their like the ice, and they add their drink to the ice, and then they get a nori roll, and then they get
Mm.
like all sorts of like, but it doesn't actually look that healthy.
Yeah. It actually it actually looks healthy, a lot healthier than, let's say,
Oh,
American.
100%. I will
Yeah,
have to agree with you there. Ours is
yeah.
probably on the same sort of no, ours is probably half what yours is, and but in
Okay.
Australian food, and half what American is, where you've got brand after brand after brand. But then they
Mm,
have like ham and cheese sandwiches, salad sandwiches, pastas. They would have like a hill, like so. Yeah.
yeah. Here in Japan, well, it's definitely not healthy, but I would never eat anything from the convenience because it looks healthy, but it's full of MSGs and like preservatives because it would have to last a long time, right? And yeah, in a way, it's kind of tricky because it kind of looks healthier than most of the food. But anyway, if I'm surrounded with people who eat that constantly, I just feel so heavy. And after all, it looks normal because everyone around me, with this regular people, they would, you know, they would get sick easily, and they would, I don't know, it's just a different mentality that being sick becomes a norm, right? If you are surrounded by those people. So I have to be very mindful. Like if I do this intense tour guide, and which I did in October. It was very intense, and I was with my clients who were constantly eating junk food, and
Yes.
showering themselves with this fast food. It becomes kind of normal not to thrive in our life. And I had to do like a yeah, I had to.
Yeah.
I'm still kind of going through the detox mode from that.
Yeah, this is a huge part of why I stopped doing what I was doing with the disability work. Is it's a heavy space to sit in, and it just didn't align with me anymore, where people are at health practitioners a lot, and just the food is not what I know to be healing. And it becomes quite, you get into a battle with yourself. It's not so much about, this is back to being about me. It's not, so much that they are bad people and that they are doing
Yeah.
anything other than what they know. But for me, I get in this battle where I got over all of that. I healed myself by not doing that, and now I'm supporting that. And for me, that is just a space that became too heavy. So I sit in a very light energy now with what I do. But it is, the thing about these processed foods. Oh, hang on one second. I'm getting them all out today. What I do about, hang on, now I lost my train of thought. What I do, hopefully it'll come back. I've forgotten now.
It's okay, we'll
Maybe
come
it was
back.
never meant, maybe it was never, oh, the thing about all these processed foods is you feel like jacked all of a sudden, right? And
Yeah.
then you go into a lower consciousness. So you follow the herd more. So when you're talking about that, it just becomes normal because everybody's doing it. So it's not even that they think they should be doing it. They don't even think. Like, because from a
Mm-hmm.
young age, we've had such heavy foods, we just keep following the crowd. And the only thing that changes there is due to advertising, in my opinion. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
there's a new corn dog out, or there's a new, even if it's a health fad, like there's a new vegan chorizo out or something, you'll be like, because you're trying to get stimulation, right? The buzz is stimulation from stimulation. And what we're saying is we want you to find your environment, which makes your field feel good. Make choices of dogs and nature and kids and butterflies, and grow your field, which is autonomous. You can't be part of the herd anymore. But we're trying to make it so that it's like how Dolores Cannon talks about the new earth, right? And that for the new earth to come in, people are already coming through. And I believe the new earth is always here. It's about how you each come through it, right? And so you talk about the raw vegans of 20 years ago were not having foods or communities like they are today. I remember Dr. Morse and Fred Bishy didn't use blenders, and I don't think they still do, and I feel like we've had to all kind of die off our old programming, and everyone comes through like the new earth and the new at different rates, and we're trying to all come together all over the world in these different communities. And I always say to people, doing something worthwhile, or becoming an Olympian, they're doing something that nobody else is doing. To feel good every day and feel grounded and connected to great souls is work, because if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. And the reason we feel the pull back is not always our addictions. It's because we monkey see, monkey do. We want to be connected to humans. So the new earth is like we're trying to come through the other side and reconnect. It's kind of like the old soul dies off. I don't want to say the old soul, but parts of us die off. Yeah. And we start to nurture the beautiful, true, healthy, natural ways of ourselves in the universe.
Yeah, it's so important. I love this topic, really. This setting our environment right. And it's part of the biggest success to set your environment right. And also what you mentioned about, just focus on ourselves, right? It's not about other people. We have no idea what's going on in their mind. And it's mostly they're just living their life, and just what once I start blaming others, I am this way because of how they made me do certain things. But no one made me do things. I chose certain things, right? And it's
And you give your
I
power away too. Is what you don't realize is all of a sudden, my parents traumatized me, and then I had a traumatizing teacher, and then I got into done all this, and this was me, right? And then my teacher did it, and then my friends did it, and then this did it. Before you know it, you've given all your power away. Imagine one day, and this is what I did, I decided that these were all my choices. Whether at a soul and unconscious level, I kept making these choices right from right now. And we're taught not to be selfish, right? But to be the greatest gift I can to this planet, I had to, and it's not selfish, it's about I had to fall in love with the one person that I'd overlooked. Like the one person that I'm gifted from birth is myself. And I'm so consumed with what other people think. I don't know her. And for me, I have to be on raw food to connect with her, with my true higher self. And from that is what we always have to check in with. And that I am like it as well. When someone hurts me, I will automatically jump. It's them. But as I process through it, I'm like, why am I so sad? It's good because then you have your power to create your future. Once you take back your power, you can do anything you dream of. But the first step is to take the power. To get your power, you have to own that you all chose this.
And this is and this is so deep. We have to have this mantra because we're living in a society where there's always, especially in the States, right? There's a hero, and then the bad guys, and we have to fight, and we have to prove that we are wrong, we are right, and they're wrong, and we keep seeing on this film drama. It's always the majority of it. People love this hero story, right? So for me, I have to remind myself constantly, it's not about them. Like, even if they say something nasty to me or did something really hurtful to me, I have to always come back to me and say, it's okay. They're just living their life. Maybe it's time to let them go.
But what I also find about this hero and villain thing is I can't think of one situation where, besides there are some psychopaths out there where, you know, they've gone on
Mhm.
killing sprees. Like, besides that situation where that we can feel harbored towards, but that doesn't really impact me. I think what really impacts people is some government things. But what I notice about the government, and this is why you can't hold these things in truth, is you swing with the community. Is I
Mhm.
don't know one government situation that I see on television where one week I'm not liking this person and then the next week I'm not liking this person, and that then is giving away my power. So it really has no effect on, if anything, it becomes a distraction. So I have to have my little space where I make my food. I have to get outside, and you know, it gets stronger, and you get stronger over time. But unless you get the fundamentals of your environment right, you will always cave. Like, I
Mm.
truly believe there is, and this is why I would love to start a sanctuaries all over the world where people let go of everything
Oh,
for
all
months.
over the world. Oh my
All over,
God.
you got it, because the whole thing is, once you've done that, people can't just straight go back home. They have to slowly transition, because you will be triggered so much. You will usually have to come back to, like, you'll be able to go
Mm.
home a few days a week, right? You have to learn to bring what you learn home. You know,
True.
I think retreats are amazing for meeting people and
Mhm.
resetting, but to actually change your entire life, you have to keep doing it when you get home, and your environment
Yeah.
will trigger you and your mindset to go back to what you've done. So yes.
That was lovely. I love this topic. Thank you so much for reminding me. And yeah, this should be my mantra. Thank you.
Yay. Okay, so thank you. It's been
Thank
amazing.
you.
Thank you, everybody, for
Thank
joining.
you, everyone. And Koala Mama. Oh my God, I was seeing her message and other messages. It's so beautiful. Thank you so much, Vegan Reader, Koala Mama, Curl Gratitude Spirit, all those beautiful messages. Thank
And
you.
I saw all the beautiful prayers and love at the top as well, for Sydney. So thank you.
Yeah,
And yeah, so we will see you next
next
week with a
week.
new
Yay.
topic,
Yes.
and lots of love. Enjoy this, like, Christmas, getting closer to Christmas. And anyway, I say next week, but we've got the Europe party tomorrow night in Sydney, and Japan is the time. I say Europe, but it will be Europe's morning. And then we've got the Women's Health podcast.
Wednesday, the same time, on Wednesday.
Yeah, I'm setting them all up today. So just go to the live section or even my YouTube channel. It'll line up all the times in your areas for everything going on this week, because there's lots.
Yay, it's so exciting. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, too. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.